Let's bring in Murph, our good friend John Murphy, the assistant general manager of the Toronto Argonauts, joining us from the Gulf Coast. How you doing, Murph?
Doing excellent. Hi, Roddy. How you doing?
And we're doing good. Happy New Year, my man. Hey, the Argos, it would seem, got a lot of business done last week prior to free agency, and some of your fans are going, hey, what are you guys doing? Haven't you been busy enough?
Well, I guess, when you've been down so long and you've been away from the element of interacting with your fan base, you were mentioning it, the media interaction, everybody's kind of just trying to keep their own business afloat. So it's kind of hard, to let people know what's going on kind of behind the scenes. So, of course, you'd always want the action to kind of be on that day. I think that's, what your fans are expecting is they'd love to have it happen almost every day leading up to free agency. But, I thought the thing in this time frame was when you knew there might be guys that other teams had stopped interacting with or maybe could not get on the same page with, and we're not sure if they were going to get them back, to be aggressive, to reach out and say, hey, if you're kind of at an impasse or don't think the numbers are going to make it, what about being open to a trade? Because then all it did was kind of slide it over to us to where we could fully interact with those players, in a greater way, with pretty much everybody in our organization then having the ability, to interact with them, tell about the city, talk about the opportunity, interact with the coaching staff. And yet it still allowed the team that traded them to us to then have the open window when that opened up. So it wasn't a final decision, by those clubs, but I think it was something that allowed us, creatively to start working the numbers and making sure that everything we wanted to get done could still get done within the parameters of our budget.
So how are you feeling about your roster as you sit? Charleston Hughes was a big acquisition. You have a new quarterback in Nick Arbuckle. You signed another one in Antonio Pipkin. It's February, Murph. You got a long ways to go. But as we sit here today, how are you feeling?
I felt good a year ago, and we never got to see it play out. So it's a second roster. It's like we've played, 2 years straight of fantasy football without ever able to see how it was going to execute itself on the field. But I also think that those 2 years are completely different and separated by the factor of you have brand new situations that occurred. You have brand new potential situations occurring moving forward. So I think sliding in the direction of going and making sure there's a balance of CFL experience along with a high level of competition that we're able to get with no XFL playing, with guys in the NFL getting to work out and maybe get another opportunity back in the NFL has allowed a couple of guys that I think surprising to CFL fans see making the jump that quickly to the CFL. And now it's about, kind of just finishing off some of the other aspects of what you want to do. Full force at the draft and the Canadian draft and the global draft, and then waiting to see. You're very excited that the league and the Players Association, are talking about talking about the business of getting back on the field. And like all of our employees, our fans, our coaches and staff, it's just we need to get back on the field. We need to put this product on fans. Our fans will be excited to see some of the kind of homegrown talent, that we have. Again, over 80% of our Canadians will be, guys that were born and raised in the Ontario area. I've seen it work in Calgary. We know it works in Saskatchewan. You keep the young guys, develop them, keep them at home. If you can draft them or sign them, it's a great idea, and something very functional for our league, for our fans to be able to support guys that they've watched grow up, in the sport and then have them right in front of you. So to me, there's better days ahead. But the main thing to remember is the Argonauts have never been in last place as long as they have been starting. That's where we need to build from. That's where our culture needs to change. And they have to have the understanding that, we're not trying to improve. We're not trying to, just be a playoff contender or have a chance, to make the playoffs. We're trying to show up, go 18-0. In any Argo had, and if you ever want to put that on the field and have an opportunity for it, you have to work at it every day.
Some viewer comments here. Jack Fulton, whom you know well, watching in Vulcan, Alberta. Love Murph, great at finding talent, but even more importantly, a great dad. Always a big fan of John's. From Craig Campbell, downtown Toronto at the Hockey Hall of Fame, he writes, Argos! Looking forward to seeing the new signings in 2021. Please add the Stompin' Tom Connors football song to your game day music playlist. Next time you're in Toronto, Murph, you got to go down to the Hockey Hall of Fame. Ask for Craig. He's the biggest Argo fan I know in downtown Toronto. And I know you will do that because I know you. What can you tell the fans about Cameron Judge, Murph? You drafted him here in Saskatchewan, and I guess he's told the Riders he's not coming back. What is his status here on day 2 of free agency?
Yeah, Cam was a guy that we all loved. It was very obvious that his film in terms of his play level at UCLA and becoming a team captain and then just playing through the shoulder injury he had, in college, but having the willingness to play through, be a team leader and showing that kind of toughness. Same thing he did early in his career with Saskatchewan. He could have opted to have that surgery early in his pro career, but likely would have missed most or all of his rookie year. Instead, say, you're like, hey, I'm going to play until it pops out a couple of times. And then when the doctors tell me I shouldn't do that anymore, that's when I'll have the surgery. That was a collective effort. All of us agreed that he was the best player, on the board, and that was very exciting. That was a great draft in terms of being able to get not only him, but then in the second round, Darius Blaydick was still on the board, and we were able to kind of kill two birds with one stone. From what I know right now, his thing was, I want to concentrate on this NFL workout. It's been something 6+ months in the making for him. If you know Cam, his girlfriend, lives down in Vegas. So for him to have a shot of working out for the Raiders, I think it's something very important for him at this stage of his career to see where he stands, to see what they think of him. Is there a possibility that he could make a go of that? And then if not, he just said, if a team can wait for me and be available, I'll take that into consideration, when it's time to make those conversations and decisions. So for us, it was a very comfortable scenario to say, hey, I don't mind waiting for, February, whatever, or March or April or whatever it would be. If there's a chance that he's interested in us after that, it'll be terrific. And if there's a chance that he can sign with us, hopefully he'll sell tickets.
More viewer comments from Miranda Foster. Miss you and Sask, John. Going to miss Judge. From Jim Noble, he says, hi. Jim from Lindsay, Ontario. So there's a lot of Argo fans that are tuning in. I want to address your quarterbacks, though. Willie Jefferson sent out a tweet last night saying, how many quarterbacks do the Argos have? And I remember here, Murph, February of 2017, after you traded Darian Durant away, right? You sat across the table from me. We were doing the show at the hockey rink. And you said, if we can't find a quarterback, it's February. We'll be good. And you ended up signing Kevin Glenn and went one play away from getting to the Grey Cup, losing in the Eastern Final. Can you just address the Argos quarterback situation as we sit here on February 10th?
Yeah, I mean, the opportunity to have things change in terms of Nick Arbuckle has not played another play since the last time we saw him. What has changed is you did not have to trade draft equity, which was something that early in our time in Saskatchewan, Jeremy and I would be sitting there like literally on a daily basis sweating about the lack of draft equity, right? You obviously know Rider teams were built on offensive and defensive linemen. The draft has always been a huge part of the CFL, to any successful organization. The BC Lions with Wally, Huff, and the Stampeders, any Saskatchewan, run of years of success has been built off of, high Canadian content. And you look at what Jim Popp did, with those teams in Montreal, 5 offensive starting linemen, and they kept drafting them and having them in plentiful, numbers. Making a trade of what Calgary was able to achieve to trade Nick Arbuckle was not a move that the Argos could make in that time frame. Number 2, he was looking for a contract that, again, so comfortable. That was the type of investment we could make financially, not in the player, but in the salary cap, and to build a good enough team around him. Now we take a 12-month layoff. Here we are again with an opportunity. Things are getting down to the wire. We had conversations with our own guys. We had conversations about who might be available. Honestly, never thought that Nick would come back into the picture because of all the things he's living in their city. He's involved with all their non-football player programs and stuff. So was very surprising that afternoon on Sunday to hear that from his agent that they may not move forward and that there might be an opportunity, to speak to him. And, anybody, you had Jack Fulton, chime in. Anyone who's interacted, with Nick off the field knows what kind of person he is, knows what kind of family member and family guy and husband he is, and great young family and a kid that really has his perspectives in perfect order for what you want. If you're expecting big things from the way we are, you want to have a guy that's going to be kind of feet on the ground, head's not kind of too up in the air, about himself. And you heard it in his first interview. He has not won the job yet. There will be a competition. And even if he wins it on throw 3 or day 1 or play 7, of the preseason game, you're going to get a guy that's going to continue to give you that hard effort, day in and day out. If your best people and your hardest workers are also your most talented players, you have a legitimate shot. And when you made that comparison, the day that we made the decision that we were not going to get something done with Darian and let him go to where he was going and let that situation play itself out, good things happen because you go back and look. Kevin Glenn has had as good a season he ever had in his career that season. And I know it's sad, or the angst is still there as fresh as it was when it happened. If Kevin Glenn does not spike his hand off the helmet, I wonder who wins the Grey Cup that season. Just always going to leave it out there and say it because Kevin Glenn was playing as good as any quarterback in the league that year. Brandon Bridge, we were able to acquire him and develop him. David Watford is still playing in the league. Vernon Adams is now an MVP candidate last time we played in the league. The quarterback scenario opened itself up because as an organization, we had the willingness to be open to what was available. And that is because each person in their role went out and watched all these guys. Chris did, the coaches did, Jeremy did, I did, and then everybody had a formulated opinion so that everybody's guy almost got a shot to be in the room.
Please, again, when you're in Toronto, go down to Mike Hogan's office and say to him what you just said to me about the hit to the head of Kevin Glenn, because he says I'm always whining about officiating, and we're talking about the exact same play, Murph. Look, we got to go. We're fresh out of time. TV not as lenient as radio. I appreciate this, my man, and stay in touch, please.
Excellent. Thanks so much, guys. Appreciate it.
John Murphy, Toronto Argonauts Assistant General Manager.
You're watching Rod Peterson On Demand. For more of The Rod Peterson Show, visit rodpeterson.com or follow Rod Peterson on social media.